Yes, live Hip Hop Daily. Early broadcast for 2014. Happy New Year, people. This is the one-on-one segment with the coach. We have a very special guest to kick off the new year. DJ JAZZY JOYCE is in the place with us today.
Hello, world.
That's her.
Yes, I'm honored to be here and excited about this interview.
Oh yeah, and definitely feeling is mutual on this side. You know, we've been exposed to your work, from young people all the way, through till today. So anybody who's followed the art, followed the music, especially from the 80s time frame all the way up to now, whatever you're following, your name has been involved some sort of way. So it's definitely good to have you up here. Good to see you. Good to know you out here doing your thing.
I'm still out here.
Still fighting, doing what you do. So, let's start with that. As a matter of fact, usually when we format a show, we look for some current work that a particular artist is doing, and we notice that, in addition to some of the production work that you've done in the past, you got some recent credit and some up and coming artists and some current artists that you've been working with as well. Yeah. So if you could tell the people maybe, one of the main artists that you work with, and we'll kind of go down the line from there, and let's talk about producing their records. And I have just a few questions I'd like to ask.
Okay. The most current and recent and present situation that I have going on right now that I produced is a record called I Love It. Okay. By Vane and myself. I'm featured on there with my little ad-lib.
That's what's up. Okay.
His vocal delivery. And it's something that I'm excited about because I've been trying to produce for, believe it or not, just as long as I've been DJing. Okay. Because I still have my MPC 60 to give you an idea of how long and how sincerely. Right. I still have my 950. Right. My 2500. I have a 2000, not the 2000.
The Akai is the 950 though, right?
Yes.
Yes, an Akai 950, the MPC 60. And what's the third piece?
I have two 2500s. I have the special edition white one.
Right.
And the black one. The original black one. And then I have a 2000.
Got it.
Not the XL, but the 2000.
But the 2000.
Yes. So, but that's just to give a timeline of how long I seriously have been pursuing this part of my creativity.
Right.
So,
especially mentioning the Akai piece, because that you had to be around to use that Akai piece. That was a lot of people snapped their fingers to records that were produced using that machine, but it's not something you hear a lot of producers obviously using today. But that was working with it. We was working with that a minute ago. We was making some things with that.
Exactly. They don't have the longevity. So
right.
But that it's I mention it as a mile marker to get people to understand this is not something that I just started recently. So and then I collaborated with Nina B on a project. We did an entire mixtape called, the title of the mixtape is Titles Are Played Out. Okay. And, one of the premier singles off the project, because I produced the entire project with her, is this single called How Y'all Want It. There's a video shot by Scenario. I don't know if our listeners are familiar with him, but
we'll look him up.
Yes, you can Google all of this. All of these things that I'm mentioning are out on the net, so you can see it. And support the I Love It single. That would be nice. Go to iTunes, watch the video, and with him, Vane and myself are touring in support of the single.
So, okay.
And there's so many other things
going on, but that's the main one.
Yeah.
Let's stay on the production aspect for a minute. Like you mentioned, some of your weapons of choice that you've collected through the years. I'm just curious to know, when you're in the studio these days, what are you using to create?
The machine. I love the machine. I really love the machine. I've had the machine now for, I'd say about, I had it 2 years before its popularity. Okay. And how I acquired it was when I do the Tools of War DJ series in the summertime. We DJ in the parks, like if you're familiar with
heard of it.
When they have the park jams all over New York or
whatever.
So Tools of War is the premier organization that just organizes that and puts that on every summer. And there's no money involved, but the options are, different pieces of equipment.
Got it.
As a compensation, which, by the way, people always just wanting everything for free. You have to do and give something. So I chose to take the machine up. No one had heard of it. No one. Everybody was like, they passed up on it. They went for the other things like the mixers that were available.
Right
and
at the time.
And I chose to take that, and I had a 2-year jump on it before its popularity.
Wow.
Now it's a piece that is I'm sure used by many producers, as well as the new MPC. They have I don't want to misquote it, but I think I know what you're talking about as far as the new MPC pieces that are out now, right,
and how they interface with software and so on and so
Absolutely.
forth, and they have more of a built-in. I mean, most of the manufacturers are trying to come up to speed. It seems like, dealing with computer-based. I guess you don't even really call it a sound module, but computer. You know what I mean? It's not really a sound module, but dealing with software that provides sound, rhythm, whatever have you. So much that you can do inside software now. Manufacturers that kind of hang their hat on hardware pieces have to find ways to still stay competitive with equipment.
Exactly, or else you lose in a race. That's with anything.
Yeah.
Anything you do, you must remain relevant and always know the technology,
right,
or else you lose footage. You see some of the seasoned and mature DJs fall by the wayside because they were apprehensive when technology started speeding up,
right,
and everything. Like I was even to jump on that, like before the Serato really kicked in, I was already on CDs. Like I had already started being like, yo, something's happening. Let me start to move towards that. And my biggest fear was like, will I still be able to rock a party? Because you're so used to the ritual of the digging in the crates and you having your crates set up a certain way. So it was a matter of, how am I going to set up these MP3s a certain way in a similar mindset of my preparation of how I set up my crates and everything. And I remember my first party that I did in March 2112. Okay. I wound up standing up on the table. It was so crazy because now I can stand on the table and do something crazy and the needle not jump.
Right,
so I went woo, because they was throwing money off the balcony, going crazy. I was like, I'm with you. What? We here. I'm stopping the record. I'm like, hold up. Spin it down.
Do it all tight there.
I went hard in the paint. Like, word. This is it. So, you know what I mean? So, if you don't keep up or just keep up with sorry, that was just an exciting moment though. But, if you don't keep up with technology, you're going to lose footage and you're going to feel like, oh, Lord. It becomes overwhelming.
Right.
And I remember when I first started messing with computers, I was apprehensive.
Right.
So now, and that was back then when it wasn't even all of this information that you had to figure out how to do this and do that and then MIDI this and understanding that and the social networking and email and if you didn't start from the early, this stuff right here will make you be like, look, I may not use any type of drugs or anything, but I may need something.
I need some help for this
because this is crazy. And taking it all in.
And it's okay because you kept up to date, and we see your work. And to be honest, some of the new technology opens up the door for us to continue to get younger people involved.
Right.
So it's it kind of keeps us in the mind state of let's keep reaching and pulling because I need help.
Right.
And they're, the younger generation, they'll, some of the technology is second nature to them.
Right, because they came into this life.
Right.
But this is all they know. So, of course, it's much easier for their younger mind to grasp.
Right.
But when I speak, I'm speaking of people who, like I said, in their maturity, shied away. And then now they're trying to jump into it because everything is geared around having to go to the computer at some point.
Exactly.
If you didn't go ahead and take that deep breath and dive in and do it, it just can be overwhelming and a headache. But one of the things that I was told a long time ago was, Joyce, it's not going to break. The computer's not going to break.
Right,
so.
Right. That's a good way to look at it. And
Yeah.
if you have your information backed up, that helps out. That helps you put your mind at ease as well. Because if something goes wrong, at least you have all your data backed up. And it's interesting. I'm thinking, as you were talking about DJs who were reluctant to switch over to digital formats, whether that be the CD or whether that be, DJ software like Serato, and you're kind of, using files to spin. You also had engineers that were reluctant, I remember, to switch over to the Pro Tools platform, and a lot of engineers lost work because they were used to analog recording, which was fine, used to analog recording, but the studios had already invested in Pro Tools, the artists were expecting it, and then those engineers who didn't really pick up the skills quick enough, or they were reluctant, you're not getting work.
Right, the new young cat, comes in and he's like,
yeah. And ideally, speaking of engineering, ideally, if, in a perfect world, I would like to see more of a marriage of that. Because I don't know if you noticed that, but what I noticed on the engineering side is that you have engineers that are basically DAW engineers, Pro Tools engineers. If we're talking how frequencies operate, low ends, this and that, what's really compression, how do we apply delay, so on and so forth. Some of that information is a little sketchy.
Right, but speaking of the marriage, some of the greatest engineers present day are the ones who have the knowledge from the past, because they have that understanding of what the sounds used to sound like, and the warmth and the processes that they would use back then. So now the marriage comes with having that wealth of knowledge, bringing it forward with the modern technology. If you can find a person who has the combined information and skills,
right,
in that person, you have an excellent engineer, because they know how to use the modern technologies and bring a sense of balance to the sonic tone. Because sometimes when there's just someone who just knows the technological side,
right,
their mixing preference and direction seems to be different. Their choices of what they use,
right,
to put textures, coatings,
right,
is different.
Right.
Whereas someone who has the information and the knowledge from the past seem to texturize the sound with a little more warmth.
Right.
So y'all
that makes a lot of sense, and you know what I mean, and that says a lot. A person that has that experience and that knowledge to marry both worlds and then make decisions in the studio, to come out with the best product. That says a lot. So if you're an engineer and you're a producer out there, you heard it from DJ Jazzy Joyce. Yes. Grab that knowledge, grab some of that knowledge from the past, marry it up with some of the technical expertise and the technology that's available, and go in the studio and make something good.
Right.
Make some good things.
Exactly.
We're going to go to a break right now. I think we jumped into a video.
Okay.
This is actually one of the artists that you produced. So people.
What do we get into? Okay.
Diggable Planets. That's the words I'm getting from my producer. So that's what we jumping into now.
And when we come back, we'll talk about that whole experience.
Let's do it.